After clocking out of work, I grabbed my Aldi bags and headed straight to Aldi. I've been doing a $20 grocery challenge for the month, and by this point, I only had $5 and some change left, and honestly, it didn't go very far. I was able to get the celery and oat milk, but the total came out to 53 cents over what I had, so I had to put the rest on my credit card. Not ideal, but it happens, and I think it's important to show that sometimes sticking to a budget isn't perfect. After Aldi, I headed to Planet Fitness for a budget-friendly workout. The following morning, I got ready for the food pantry. I put my hair up, brushed my teeth, and tried to get myself together. I was gifted an espresso machine, which I love, but the pods have gotten way too expensive for me. So I've been experimenting with other ways to get my caffeine in the morning. On this day, I made a hot tea with oat milk and took that with me to go. At the food pantry, I grabbed my ticket and ended up being number 11 for the morning. I sat and waited for my number to be called. Afterward, I stopped at the bank because I had $100 in cash from house sitting. I don't like carrying cash or spending cash, so I put it right into the bank where it can earn interest. Plus, I put most of my spending on credit cards for the cashback rewards, and I always make sure to pay my credit card off in full every month so I never pay interest or fees. I'm gonna do a food pantry haul and show you everything that I qualify for as a low-income household of one. It's just me, I don't have any kids. I got Cheerios. They usually have more cereal options, but that was all that they had today. I got 1 can of spaghetti sauce. Usually you can get 2 cans, but today I was only allowed to get 1. And I got elbow macaroni noodles because I think I have a lot of spaghetti at the moment, because I could have also gotten spaghetti or macaroni, but I prefer macaroni. I got 2 cans of green beans. These green beans are super good too. I got 1 jar of peanut butter. They didn't have bread today. Usually the bread that they have is a couple days expired, but I still get it and I'll just slice it and put it in the freezer right away. Since they didn't have bread, I got oats. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna make oat milk with it or if I'm going to just like blend it into a flour and put it into use it as flour and make bread, because they do need to make bread since they didn't have any. I got 2 cans of black beans, and to go with that, I got a can of yams. I'm only allowed to get 1 can of yams, but I really like doing quesadillas, and the sweet potato black bean combo was really good. I also got a bag of chickpeas, so I'll probably use this for chickpea curry or chickpea flour or hummus. I got raisins. They don't usually have a lot of fresh produce, so I always try to get whatever they have dried or canned. 1 can of peaches. You're only allowed to get 1 can of fruit, so I got pears is what I get. I did get the peaches because I have peaches, so I got pears. And then 2 cans of applesauce. Applesauce is a really good substitute for eggs when baking, so that will be good. And then I got 2 more cans of chickpeas. I know I got the dried chickpeas, but these are really convenient because they're already cooked. And then for produce, today's produce option was 3 lemons, 3 limes, or some onions. I'm not sure how many onions, but I had a lot of onions, so I just opted for the 3 lemons. I qualify for the 1 frozen chicken and also 1 frozen meat, meal, like a frozen lasagna or something like that. But I don't eat meat, so I just don't get those. But this is everything, and this is once a month that I can go. I work from home from 8:30 to 4:30, but on food pantry mornings, I have to take PTO. Before my workout, I had a little pre-workout snack of Cheerios from the pantry. One thing the pantry didn't have this week was bread, so I decided to make my own from scratch. I started the dough before I went to the gym, so it would have time to rise. The $10 a month membership has been a lifesaver for me. It's not fancy, but it's enough to get my workouts in and keep me on track without spending a ton. Once I got home from the gym, I put my dough into the bread pan and let it rise again for another 45 minutes.
I do slap and folds, which honestly is not aesthetic at all, but I found it works the best for me. My parents have a huge homestead with more produce than they can ever preserve, so I happily take some things off their hands. This time I had about 6 pounds of San Marzano tomatoes. I used 2 pounds of them to make tomato soup. I decided on soup because it's almost impossible to find tomato soup at the store that's vegan and doesn't contain milk, and when you do, it's way too expensive. Along with the tomatoes, I also used celery I just bought from Aldi, plus carrots, onions, and garlic. I put everything in a roasting pan and popped them in the oven. While the vegetables roasted, I cleaned green beans from my parents' garden. They have both green beans and yellow beans. The yellow ones look unripe, but that's just how they are. I boiled them and then let them cool. Then I made a roux that's spelled R-O-U-X because I didn't have enough in the budget for cornstarch. Roux is basically just butter melted with flour that you cook a little bit. And then you add your vegetable broth. I was impatient and poured the broth in way too quick, so it got clumpy, but I wasn't too worried about it since the whole soup is going to be blended anyways. While that simmered, the green beans had cooled, so I portioned them into 2 baggies and put them in the freezer so I could easily pull them out and reheat them later. By the time the soup was ready to be blended, it was way too late in the night to use my blender. I live in an apartment complex and I try to be considerate, so I put the soup in the fridge to deal with it in the morning. The next morning, I decided to make French press coffee. While I waited for a more acceptable time to use my blender, I decided to make pickles. I don't do traditional canning because it makes me nervous. Oil bath canning and pressure canning can be risky if you don't do everything perfect. The only pickling I really trust myself to do is a quick refrigerator pickle. I made the brine with 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, a bit of salt, and this time a lot of sugar because I wanted them to be sweet. I sliced my bread that had cooled overnight and froze it. I always slice my bread before I freeze it so it's easier to grab it. Then I cut my cucumbers into spears and stuffed them into jars and poured the warm brine over the top before putting them in the fridge. By then my coffee was cooled enough to try. Unfortunately, it was disgusting and I'll never make it like that again. Maybe next time I'll try making cold brew. Then I pulled my tomato soup out of the fridge, added some tomato paste I had forgotten the night before, and finally blended it smooth. I froze the soup in giant ice cube trays so I could pop the cubes into a giant freezer bag later. That way I could just grab a cube or 2 and microwave them in a mug and have a single serving anytime. The rest went into these small containers because I don't like thawing a huge portion of soup when I just want a little mug of it.
There is a life I lead in this city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by. It doesn't make it.
Later that night, I remembered I had an eggplant that needed to be used. The only way I enjoy eggplant is in baba ganoush, so I roasted it and put it in a container and froze it. That way, next time I want baba ganoush, the roasted eggplant is ready to go.
Will you carry me like I am whole again? Wait, hold on. take me back where I belong. I want it all.
And that wraps up my 48-hour vlog. It wasn't glamorous, but this is what life looks like for me, living low income and stretching my budget, making things from scratch, and finding little ways to make it all work. I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Bye.